Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm not sure if you can see me or hear me. Let's see. Okay, please, if you can hear me, please say comment hi in the write hi in the comment section rather, and let me know that you can hear me, please. And please let's know where you are watching us from. Okay. All right. Thank you, Akin Kumi. Thank you for that response. Please, anyone else here, if you can hear me, please let's know. Say hi in the comment section and probably let us know where you're watching from. All right, so my name is Nkwachikwere Amadi. I would love to introduce myself, but before I do that, I would like to everyone that is here, please, if you can copy the link to this YouTube channel and post it on your WhatsApp or anywhere you can, so we can have people join us. Hello, Opera Precious. Thank you for joining. Hello, uh, Fumilayo. Thank you for joining. You're welcome, Fumilayo. If you don't mind, can you tell us which part of Nigeria or which state or whatever you are watching from? Let also have for them know where you are watching us from. All right, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Fumilayo. In the next 2 minutes, we are going to start so that we can be able to run through this and conclude as soon as possible. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you for joining. Okay, Owerri, Imo State. Thank you for joining all the way from Imo State. Thank you. I think there are many Lagos people here right now. Let's share this live stream with our people on WhatsApp groups and WhatsApp profile so that people can join from wherever they are as well. Sorry, sorry, I'm adding the slide. But before I do that, I would like to make a quick introduction. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Nkwachikwere Amadi. I'm the founder of PlyVerd. And with me today is a 2022 Chevening Scholar, Osita James, who will be taking us through the session to help. Uh, we're going to be helping you to understand how you can be able to scale and ace your Chevening Scholarship for the 2022 session. Um, I would allow him to take over the mic and introduce himself and then take over the presentation.
Okay, Daniel, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, just a second. Let me attach my Bluetooth. Can you share? Okay, great. Thank you.
I can hear you.
Okay, can you still hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome.
I think there's an echo. I don't know if it's from my end. Please, if you can hear us, please let us know in the comment section. I think I'm receiving an echo.
Okay, is this better now? Hi, Daniel. Is this better?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, because I know that you're both dialing in from different parts of the world. My name is Osita James. I am a Chevening Scholar of 2022. And in this session, I'm going to be explaining how you can go about the application, as well as give you practical insight on how exactly to work on your essays. So I hope that at the end of this session, you would have learned how to start writing your essays, what's required, how to structure your leadership, as well as other aspects of the application. So yeah, thanks so much, Daniel of PlyVerd, for making this possible. This is a collaboration between Flourish Opportunities Network and PlyVerd, and I'm very excited to be here. So Daniel, can I go ahead?
Yes, you can.
Okay,
Just a minute.
thank you.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So this is like a snapshot of my profile. I am a technology entrepreneur and a managing partner of a law firm. I run a law firm that supports technology-focused startups of all stages in Africa. I studied law at the University of Nigeria, and then I studied for an MSc in Innovation Management and Entrepreneurship at the Nottingham Trent University Business School in the UK with the Chevening Scholarship. Yeah. So prior to now, I've won the Nigerian Higher Education Foundation Scholarship for 2017, the Russia Open Door Scholarship of 2022, the Chevening Scholarship, obviously, and a number of other partial funded scholarships in the US that are so numerous to mention. So in my spare time, I write poetry and fiction, but I train lawyers that are trying to build their own law firms. So that's just like a snapshot of my experience. So here's like a very high level overview of some of the places I've gone to get my educational qualifications. So I went to Nottingham Business School, like I said earlier. I went to the Nigerian University of Technology and Management. You can see a picture of me holding a diploma. That was in 2021. Then this is me in Toulouse Business School in France. I went for summer school. I applied for the Turin Summer School Scholarship while I was at the Nottingham Business School. And that is me at DePaul University in Chicago, where I went to present a consultancy report to the Red Cross because it was part of our coursework at the Nottingham Trent Business School. So let's get right into it. Yeah. I know that many of you that have joined this call is probably because you've been wondering, like, you've probably seen the Chevening Scholarship somewhere and you've heard that you're giving fully funded scholarship for masters, and you're sort of wondering to yourself, how do I apply for this? I've never done this before. I don't know anyone that's gotten this scholarship. So how exactly do I figure out a strategy that can work to get me this scholarship? So I think that you should start with why. There's a very popular book by Simon Sinek about the power of starting with why. So that's why the first thing I've written here is sort of why Chevening. There are so many other scholarships that you can also apply to, right? As an African, there's MasterCard scholarship that literally funds fully funded masters both in the US, in Canada, in the UK, and so many other countries, right? There's MasterCard. And for those that are doing MBA, there's a Ford Fellows and there's TY Danjuma Scholarship for MBA students. And there are a number of them. There are actually like a whole lot of them, right? And there's school-specific scholarships that you can find out by researching the different universities to figure out whether there are any funding, maybe tuition funding available for the course that you want to apply for, yeah? But if you decided to apply for Chevening, the question is why Chevening? Right? It means that you need to be thinking about, am I the right fit? Am I the type of candidate that this type of people would ordinarily select? Or are the profile of the people that they selected before? And do I fit the bill? So this is how you should be thinking about it. Chevening is very high on leadership. They're also very networking heavy. It's impact focused. They're very collaborative. They want people that want to collaborate and do projects and initiatives with different people. They want people of like mind, right? And then there's skill acquisition. They want people that are focused on gaining more skills to scale the current initiatives or projects that they have ongoing. Yeah. And then last but not the least, there's a UK priority alignment. So if you're thinking why Chevening, this is how you should be thinking about it. The way that I'm looking at myself and my experiences, my educational qualifications, the work I'm currently doing, am I in the right fit based on all the things that I just mentioned and listed out, right? You might be doing very good work, in the commercial sector. Maybe you're working in fintech, that's finance, or you're working in engineering, or you're working in health. It could be any industry, really, right? But the goal is that if you're going to apply for a Chevening scholarship, you should be able to speak to how impactful your work has been. So if you're very commercial facing and you've done nothing real on the impact side, it's very difficult, because you need to tell a story of your leadership, and it's difficult to tell a story of leadership that doesn't impact other people. Yeah, so that's something that you need to bear in mind. For some of us that are not going to be applying this year, maybe you want to apply next year, you should probably start thinking about the way that you're currently positioning yourself, but at work, and maybe you're doing maybe you're doing your own thing, maybe you're building your own business, or you're self-employed. But the way that you're sort of positioning yourself and the narratives that you're telling about the kind of work that you do, you need to start reassessing all of them if you're interested in positioning yourself for a very competitive scholarship like this. Before I move forward, I'd like to give you a little bit of context, and you can quote me on this. It is more difficult to get into Chevening than it is to get into Harvard. And the data speaks for itself. Pick up your phone and do a quick Google search about the Harvard admission rate. You'd find it maybe around 2 or 3%, depending on the department and so on. Getting into Chevening is like 1% or less than 1%. So that's like that's just like the crazy scale of how many people are applying. Right. In Nigeria, in my time, there were over 8,000 applicants. The following year, there were around 11,000. And I'm guessing that the year after that, probably like maybe 15,000. And they selected what? 50 people? Do the math, right? It's really, really competitive to get in, which is why if you really want to leave the country to go do your postgraduate studies abroad, and you're trying to apply for the Chevening scholarship, you need to like really bring your best foot forward to give yourself a chance, to actually stand the chance of being selected. Yeah. And that's what we're here for, right? That's what the session is about. So the requirement, right? I've talked about why Chevening. I've explained how competitive it is and why you should be really thinking about how to put your best foot forward. So what are some of the basic requirements that they request of you as you're applying, right? So first, your international passport. When you're filling the form, you'll see a space that says that you should upload your international passport. Then there's your transcript, there's your degree, certificate. You want to make sure that your graduation date is not before October 2023. This is actually something new that they introduced. So right now, they're very strict about the 2-year, that's a 2,800 hour work experience rule, because people that just finished were applying and saying that they did volunteering work and internships, and using that to calculate their 2,800 hours criteria. Yeah. So right now, if you graduated like maybe 2 years back, if you graduated maybe a year plus back, you're not going to be able to move forward, because the system would not recognize you as someone that has up to 2 years work experience. Because Chevening requires you to have 2,800 hours of work experience. And, you know, if you're applying this year and you graduated maybe 2024, for example, it means that you've logically not had enough time to actually have worked for the 2,800 hours. So this is bad news for some of us that just finished 2024 and you want to like put in your application in 2025. So sorry, this is a new requirement of Chevening. But you're welcome to apply next year after you've put some things in place. Yeah, but that's just it. Because don't be so confused as to why maybe you put in your application and then it tells you that you are disqualified automatically. So because I've got a lot of people sending them inquiries and asking why they've been disqualified. So this is likely one of the reasons. Yeah. And you need to be careful to ensure that the number of hours that you actually put in all amount to the 2,800. Yeah. Someone that's already working, that's not really a problem, because if you work a 9 to 5, you're doing 40 hours a week. And if you've done that for 2 years, you're definitely going to have the 2,800 hours of work. Yeah. But if you've not done up to that, but maybe you've done a bit of volunteering, this could, mind you, this could be in church, this could be in an NGO, it could be anywhere. Yeah. They also say that unpaid internships are allowed, right, as part of to calculate the number of hours that you need to show that you have work experience. Yeah. Remember, it's about leadership. So you don't need to have worked in a corporate environment to be a leader. So they don't have that discrimination. But then the idea is that you must have 2,800 hours of work experience, a bare minimum. Yeah. I had over maybe 3,000 to 4,000 when I applied, because I finished 2019 and I applied 2021. And sorry, I finished 2017. Yeah. Then I applied 2021. So like a lot of gap in between. Yeah. So complete the 4 AC forms. This is like the minimum requirements for your application to even be accepted and for your application to be considered. Yeah. It is now how you perform in your essays, as well as the other things, that is now going to determine if you're going to be selected or not. Now, yes, they have an option for you to upload any offers that you have from universities that you've applied to, but they're not going to reject you simply because you don't have any offers yet. So I had one offer when I applied, but some people didn't have offers. So they simply said that they had applied and they uploaded evidence, like the email that shows that we've accepted your application and so on. So they just showed evidence that they had applied. Yeah. They didn't have to like upload an offer email or an offer letter showing that they already had offers. So in case that was also like a concern for some of you, I hope this addresses that concern. So before I keep rambling on, let's just know that we are very free to drop things on the comment segment, because there's probably something that you really want to speak to that also affects someone else. So Mr. Daniel is watching the comment section. So once he sees it, he'll compile the questions so that we can address them at the end of the session. So anything that comes up that you're confused about in the course of my explanation, just feel very free to drop it on the comment section so that we can address it by the time we're done with the session. So I'm just going to go right ahead. So I'm going to dive deep into the essays right now. So quick update. Chevening has made some updates. Yeah, one of the updates is for the essays, and they said that your 4 essays now have to like be around these 4 themes, right? So prior to now, they didn't like include like major themes. Again, a scholarship that includes themes that is also run by the UK is a Commonwealth scholarship. It's part of the reason a lot of people run away from it, if I'm being very honest, because it means you have to choose courses that are in line with, you know, those themes. And if you choose any course that is not in line, you're automatically rejected and blah, blah, blah. Like, so that's why a lot of people don't really apply as much to the Commonwealth, but a lot of people apply to Chevening. But now they've introduced this. So that what this means is that going forward, if you're trying to write your essay, you need to ensure that the narrative that you're telling falls within any of their themes of interest. So the course you're trying to study, is it going to strengthen security and stability in a volatile world? What are the kind of courses that can strengthen security and stability? Maybe you're studying development studies, you know, to figure out how to support the sustainability and resilience of developing countries. Yeah. Or you're trying to study something about food systems in agriculture, trying to figure out how to ensure food security in the global south. I really hope we're following. Yeah, maybe you're trying to do something in digital communication where you want to be able to learn the technology or tools that allow people to express themselves, especially in a regime that is fighting very hard against the freedom of people to express themselves. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, it must be food security, or it must be engineering, or it must be development study. You just need to be able to explain in your essay how what you're trying to study is supporting the theme of strengthening security and stability. And good news, this is where AI can help. AI can support you if you're trying to like just think of, okay, this course I'm trying to study, does it align with any of the themes? So you can ask a prompt, you can put up a prompt like that, and AI will give you some pointers. But I must emphasize, please do not use AI to write your essays. Please do not use AI to write your, I will say it a third time for emphasis. Please do not use AI to write your essays. So if you think you're advanced in the use of AI, I promise you they are more advanced. The moment your essay comes in and they've traced something that it sounds like AI, you know, that's it. They don't even bother to read it. Here's also the funny thing that some of you may not know. There are some excuse me, there are some tools that you can use, and when you put in the text that was generated by AI or written by AI, it can actually tell that 80% of this essay is AI. It can actually tell, and it doesn't matter which of the AI you use to write it. Once you put it into those tools, it will tell them that this essay is largely written by AI. So you don't want anyone, I would not even recommend putting it on any AI whatsoever, right? It's, remember, I said it's competitive. So what if they say we're excluding everybody that use AI? And there were probably maybe only 20 people that did not use AI. So they're already automatically the people that are going to come for the interview. So you want to give yourself the best opportunity. So please, I'm emphasizing it, do not use AI to write your essays. So it could be that you're trying to do a course that supports building resilience in a climate vulnerable world, right? Courses around studying the impact of climate on maybe vegetation, or the impact of climate on businesses, on agriculture, on food production. So that could be something that aligns with the theme, right? For promoting growth and prosperity, courses like MBAs, masters in finance, masters in economics, things that help you to figure out how to help businesses as well as organizations, remain resilient and figure out strategies that can allow them to grow even in a very difficult situation as global stagflation continues. So I'm going to go on to the next bit of it. So there are 4 major essays that you're going to be looking at as you're trying to apply for the Chevening Scholarship. So the first is the leadership essay. The second one is the networking essay. The third is the school justification essay. That's what I call it, right? But I'll explain what it is as we go. And then the last but not the least is the career plan essay. So in order to be a compelling candidate for the Chevening Scholarship, you need to first write a very good leadership essay, write a good networking essay, a great studying the UK justification essay, and then last but not the least, a very, very good career plan essay. So I'm going to go into how you can start to write your leadership essay, right? Assuming that you've not started, you're stuck, you don't know how to go about it. Yeah, definitely, this is really going to help you. If you have friends that signed up for this and they've not joined up until this point, please message them, call them, and tell them that the tea is about to spill, right? Just send them a message, tell them that they're about to start talking about how to actually write your leadership essay as you're starting your Chevening Scholarship. All right, so I'll get right into it. So this is my own essay, right, that I used to apply successfully, which is why, like I said, if your friends are not here, but they intended to be here, please send them a message and tell them that the main menu is being served so that they can all join in and actually receive value. So the first thing I did was to write about what leadership means to me. It's a strategy that some people employ, some people don't, right? It depends. Writing is very dynamic. That's the beautiful thing about it. Human beings are dynamic, so their writing styles are also as dynamic. Even if there are 200 students that write an exam, I promise you each of their response to a question will be different. That's the beauty about the uniqueness of the human mind, right? So don't stress too much about my own format. Focus on the core fundamental strategies and frameworks that you can also apply to yours. So I first started by what leadership means to me. I wanted to say that leadership means a commitment, a firm commitment to the right values, sacrifice and a firm commitment to the right values. And the way that I could do that was to talk about what happened to me when I was going to go for my NYSC. So I had a cushy job with a top law firm. They were going to be paying me around almost 200,000 back in 2018. I mean, some of us remember when the Naira was stronger and when the buying fuel was like, I think 200 Naira, was it 150? I can't remember, but things were way better in 2018. So earning almost 200K as an NYSC associate in 2018 was a really big deal. It was a really big deal. So I had a job offer and all I had to do was say yes and then use my contact to redeploy so I can be in Lagos. Again, I know a lot of you don't see this as something bad, but please follow me. I decided to go to Jigawa because I wanted to go where I was posted. Apparently, under the NYSC Act, because the NYSC actually has a law, an establishing law. For those of us that are lawyers here, we understand what that means. So there's always a law that establishes a major government body, like the CAC, like all the major agencies in Nigeria, NAFDAC, and so on. they all have establishing laws that it is that law that has established that body into existence. So the NYSC law says that there are only two reasons why somebody would redeploy or is permitted to redeploy. The first one is if they are married and they are redeploying for the purpose of staying closer to their spouse. And the second reason is if they are sick and they need to be close to a particular location in order to be able to interact with their doctor and so on. I was neither sick nor married. So I didn't have any legal reason to redeploy myself back to Lagos simply because I had a cushy job. But guess what? Because I did that, I was able to use it as an example of what I felt leadership is about: a firm commitment to the right values, sacrifice, and a firm commitment to the right values. So again, your own story is different. You have had things that you've done, and leadership may not mean the same thing to you as it means to me. I just want that to be very clear. I didn't write this to judge you. I didn't use this story like you didn't know me before today, right? So I didn't write this story to judge you or to say that you were deployed, so you're a bad person. I'm not here to do any of that. I'm simply saying that because I did that, I was able to use it as an example of what leadership means to me. So you need to think very deep, reflect on your own life. What is something profound that you've had to do, that for you really resonates with what leadership is supposed to be about. It could be going out of your way to, speak to other people, try to influence them to help pay someone's school fees. So you can see that to you, leadership is about influencing positive social change. Yeah, that is valid, right? Because in your own experience, maybe that's what you did. Maybe you used your influence to get some people to support someone. So to you, leadership is about influencing positive social change. So maybe your own leadership then could be that at some point you were put in charge of a group of people, and it was previously a toxic work environment, and people were leaving, people were resigning, people were tired, there was very low morale. And then you came in, and what you started doing was trying to get to know everyone one-on-one, try to find out their interests. So you could say that leadership is about communication and collaborative efforts towards a common goal. So you could say hi, Daniel. Please, can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we are back now.
Okay, sorry. So some people will read this and watch this video, and they will start attempting to use my essay as some sort of template. But I'm warning you ahead of time, it does not work like that. You just need to understand the structure, the framework, so that you can then use your own experience to fit into the framework. So I'm going to move forward. So in trying to write your leadership essay, it's very important that you use the STAR approach. And every leadership essay that is good, because I've reviewed a lot of them. I've had people I think almost 6 or 7 of them now have reviewed their essays that successfully got into the Chevening Scholarship as well. And I've reviewed essays of people that were shortlisted for the Chevening Scholarship. I reviewed essays for people that got into the AFOX, Oxford Scholarship, and a number of other places. They are too long to mention. The point is, whenever they're trying to describe leadership, the STAR approach always works. And what the STAR approach means, the framework for writing essays. So it refers to the situation, the task, the action that you took, and the result, what it resulted in. So I'm going to take that again. The S stands for the situation, the T stands for the task, the A stands for the action that you took, and then the R stands for the result. S for snake, right? T for table, A for apple, R for rabbit. For those that didn't hear what I said very clearly. Yeah. So you use this as a framework for writing your essays. So how to think about it is that you're trying to describe your leadership, and you want to use examples. So the standard for me is at least 2, but you can write up to 3, right? But if you're going to write 2, ensure that they're very, very strong examples, because remember, you're competing against thousands and thousands of other people. You're not competing with your classmates. You're not competing with your state. You're competing with the whole of Nigeria. That's how to think about it. Yeah. Very good. So I'll go ahead. Now, so let me show you a practical example of how this works. So this is the first leadership example that I used while I was doing my NYC. Before I did my NYC, I was an undergraduate at UNN studying law. So I led a literary club where I was promoting literary works to create awareness about social ills, right? And I served as the editor-in-chief of our faculty magazine. I edited literary journals to support young writers. But what I found out, again, the situation, see it in action. So what I found out was that there were a lot of literary prizes that were available, but they were beyond the reach of undergraduates because of their expensive reading fees. So the situation is the fact that, you know, a lot of the prizes are outside of the reach of undergraduates. The task at hand that I had to resolve was how to help undergraduates still be able to get published and get recognition for their work, even though a lot of the literary prizes were outside of their reach. I hope you're following. Again, if you have questions, please drop a comment. Yeah, sorry about that. Can you hear me now, Daniel?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So the action that I took, remember, ST, the situation and the task, right? People didn't have access to literary prizes because they had expensive reading fees. Yeah. And the task at hand was to figure out how to address that issue. Then the action that I took to address it, I engaged some ecosystem players. There were also people that had published, that had written very exceptional work of fiction and poetry, right? And then I invited them to be judges of the maiden prize. I wished you together. I invited them to be judges of the maiden prize. Yeah. And then what I did was I started an undergraduate literary prize called the Okike Prize for Literature, and it's available in the 3 genres of literature. It's available in the 3 genres. So what that just did was that something that was just a small local issue, I now started a national literary prize. And so if you follow this essay, because I'm going to talk about what it resulted in after I took this action, yeah, then you will now see the scale of what I eventually ended up accomplishing. So now the prize was open to undergraduates all over Nigeria, right? So this is the result. And it received 480 submissions from 30 universities in the first edition. 480 submissions from 30 universities. That shows that it was a real problem. Lots of young undergraduates were looking for prizes that would actually be able to celebrate their excellence in literature. So I, as an undergraduate, I created the first national literary prize that catered to undergraduates in all genres. Itself created their own, but they created it for fiction. I created my own and I opened it up to all 3 genres. People from Brittle Paper came to UNN to interview me, and so many different things. You know, Commonwealth writers published it. It went viral. If you doubt what I'm saying, you can go on Google and check it. Type Okike Prize for Literature, and you see it for yourself, right? Again, you want to say things that are authentic, that can be verifiable. You want to say things that are verifiable. If you go online and type who founded Okike Prize for Literature, it will tell you Osita, right? So that's the idea. So the 3 winners ended up getting published in a literary journal of someone that I knew that was running the platform. And in the same year, I got into NHEF. And, you know, that was just like the result of trying to address that problem. Again, our leadership examples are different. I was the president of the literary club while I was an undergraduate, and I love writing. I write fiction, even to today. I write poetry, right? But that may not be your interest. Your interest might be different. Maybe you are the SUG president, even if you are not the SUG president. Maybe you are the scripture union leader. Maybe you are something else, right? But the important thing is that you identify the problem. You really need your leadership essay to show that you're a problem-solving type of person. Because remember, you're pitching yourself. You're saying, when I was in a particular situation, I noticed a problem, and then I took action to solve the problem. That is the fundamental of leadership, that you take action to solve problems. And this is what it resulted in, which shows that you're not only the kind of leader that takes action, irrelevant action that doesn't lead to result, but that your leadership actually led to a result. Remember that there are up to 3 leadership examples. So we're just on the first one, but I wanted to show you how the STAR framework operates in actually trying to write a leadership essay. So that was why I spent a lot of time on this. So I'm going to move forward to the next slide. So pro tip, quantify your results. If I had said that people applied and people that won eventually got published, it would not have had the same effect. Let me go back so that you can see exactly how I wrote it. I said that we received 480 submissions from 30 universities. That is quantified. 480 as an undergraduate. That is a very brilliant number. It shows that people were really engaged and that they really had it, that the problem I was solving was significant. Again, telling you to quantify your leadership is not telling you to inflate your numbers. Please do not inflate the numbers. Do not lie on your essays. Just say it as it is. Impact and quality is more important than numbers. But remember to say at least that this was a number of people that it impacted. It helps. It helps. Even if you can't say, even if the number of people that were impacted were not a lot, you can talk about what it really meant for their lives. There is somebody there that found 10 widows in one village, helped them to learn a skill. Those widows collectively have, among all of them, 25 children. Collectively, the 5 widows. And now those 25 children have a form of sustenance because their parents are now, their mothers are now working. Right? So impact is not just about numbers, it's about quality as well. Right? So let's bear that in mind, because some of you will look at the numbers and you're like, oh, that's why you got selected. Me, I don't have anything that's impacted over 400 people. So therefore, I am not a candidate. Please, it does not work like that. Okay? If you supported 5 people and those people's lives were transformed, those people went on to support other people, please write about it. Please write about it. So the second example, I've already told you not to lie in your essays. I hope you are listening. My second leadership example was about when I started creating libraries to support secondary school children that could barely read and write in Jigawa. So what happened was that during my NYSC, I noticed that the children I was teaching as a volunteer could not read and write properly. I met people that were in JSS2 that could not do basic arithmetic sums. If you ask the person 5 times 5, the person doesn't know, but she's in JS2. So at first it was an experiment. I got her some textbooks, and then every evening when I come back from the Ministry of Justice, I'll coach her. Okay, I had to try to find a creative way to teach her because she seemed to really struggle. I had to buy a packet of sweets. So when we're doing addition and subtraction, that was what we're using to do it. This is 3 sweets. This is 5 sweets. So if I give you 10 sweets and I remove 3, how many is left? It sounds ridiculous, but I am telling you from experience that that was what happened. And that was how she learned. And with the textbook that she had to practice on her own, in a very short period of time, she was catching on and doing more evolved mathematical functions. And so I started trying to find out whether the situation was the same across all the other secondary schools. And I was speaking to my colleagues that were teaching, other core members, and they confirmed that the situation was the same. So see how I gave all this context, but I did not write all that in my essay. This is also very important. You have a lot of stories. Oh, this thing was so painful. Oh, that family could not even feed themselves. They used to trek 5 miles to the market to try and sell the orange that they pluck from their farm. You don't need to write all that detail. You can actually summarize it. Look at the summary. During my national youth service in Jigawa, I noticed that the children I was teaching as a volunteer could not read and write properly. I did not have to start explaining that the girl was in JS2. I didn't have to start explaining that I had to use sweets to teach her before she learned. I didn't have to start explaining that I had to buy textbook to confirm whether having books would solve it. I didn't have to write all that. Yeah. So I simply just went into it because, again, remember that you have a limited word count. Yeah. So you need to sometimes just go into it. You need to make a trade-off. As long as what you're saying is impactful, you get that small trade-off will not significantly vary the compelling nature of your essay. So I said I came up with an idea to build a library that will help improve their skills. Then I said I involved Blessing, Uche, and Chine Elizabeth. Now, these are my friends. I mentioned their full name because people can go online and verify who they are. Very, very important. This is an underrated hack. Always write the names of the people that you did things with because people can go and verify. Always write the names. If you didn't know this before, know it today. Write the names of the people. So I said I met them during our camp session. So I also talked, again, remember that Chevening is very big on networking. I had not even gotten to my networking essay part, but I already talked about the leadership thing where I worked with other people. So if the person is like trying to assess me, they're already seeing that networking skill that, oh yeah, so you actually did this with guys that you met at camp. So you have not even known each other that long. So within a short period of time, you've already built partnership and friendship and you leverage that to do something positive. You need to put your best feet forward. Everybody will not build a library. Everybody will not create a literary prize. Everybody will not do any of those things. But a lot of people have so many amazing things that they are doing that is transforming society one person at a time. So this is a clarion call to write down those things so that you can use some of them as your leadership example. So I talked about how we wrote to Farafina, Parisha, Roving Heights. We wrote to probably like 30 or 40 of them. But I just mentioned the major ones that ended up giving us book donations, right? And yeah, I mentioned that as the action. And then the result was that, the result was that we ended up creating the libraries. After we created the libraries, by the end of my service year, I got a state award, a Jigawa State NYSC award for a very, for an impactful CDS project, community development project that really supported their people. So that was the result, right? I think I might have skipped including that in this. Yeah. All right. So pro tip, mentioning the names of people that you worked with in your essay gives your essay an air of credibility. So it's more like an invitation to the person that is reviewing to go and verify what you're saying. It's more like your confidence. These are the people I worked with. This is their name. You can go and check who they are. If you like, call them on phone and ask them, they will say the same thing because I'm not lying about it, right? I'm not lying about it. So please do not lie in your essays. I'm emphasizing this again because in this age of AI, it's very easy to verify information online. So please don't lie in your essays. Don't lie in your essays. Be authentic, but try as much as possible to write something that you know is competitive. So the third leadership example is, I noticed that some NYSC core members were not taking steps to position themselves for jobs and internships. So I then thought of a way to help them, which is the objective, right? The situation, they were not taking steps to position themselves. Then the task at hand, how do I help them, right? Then the action that I took, I co-founded Flourish Consult and offered career consulting services, with this outfit. That's the action. And then what did it result in? The result was I successfully helped 200 NYSC core members to get jobs and internships in Nigeria. Again, you need to remember to quantify your results. You need to remember to quantify the impact that you have from the leadership examples and activities that you've undertaken in the past. It really helps to set you apart. So try as much as possible to highlight any awards that you've been given by official bodies as a result of the work that you're doing. So I mentioned that I was, let me skip right back to that slide. I think you'll find this very helpful because it helps me looking at it when I'm explaining. 1 second. Okay, so here, I mentioned that I was selected as a Nigerian Higher Education Foundation Scholar, and it is co-sponsored by the MacArthur Foundation. And the MacArthur Foundation is known for, only funding things that are really making a real difference. So the MacArthur Foundation is a global, just like the way you have the Melinda Gates Foundation, it's a global international international NGO that supports, or international foundation that supports different endeavors all over the world. So even if the person reviewing my essay does not know about the Nigerian Higher Education Foundation, that's the NHEF, they will likely know about MacArthur Foundation. You need to assume that it is not Nigerians that will read your essay to stand out. You need to make that assumption, because at some point in the essay, I also talked about how the Nigerian University of Technology and Management scholarship that I got for leadership and innovation, that is co-funded, it was co-funded by the MasterCard Foundation. So even if they didn't know the Nigerian University of Technology and Management, they probably know the MasterCard Foundation. So that's why I said it's important to mention bodies, all these international bodies that you're affiliated with in one way or the other. Okay, very, very important. It will make you stand out from other applicants, because remember, Chevening wants influential leaders. If at your level you're doing things that are associated with the MasterCard or with MacArthur, and you're actually showing off yourself as someone that has a potential to become a very influential leader, maybe the future minister of environment, or the future minister of works, or even the future minister of education, based on your track record, your academic excellence, the way you're always putting yourself into the mix to try to solve problems. So naturally, the person reading your essay will start to see you as an influential leader, with potential influential leader. Right. So these leaders are usually people that have been recognized by other bodies. We call it the Matthews effect. So let me explain what the Matthews effect means, or the implication. So there's this very popular saying that the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. So that principle, or what explains that phenomena, is actually the Matthews effect. So when someone has something, they are more likely to be supported by other people because they already have something. When someone does not have, you don't have anybody that has trusted you before to say you are good. So as a result of that, the next person will be wondering whether you're even actually good. So if someone else has already validated you as a young leader, it is very easy for another person to validate you as a young leader. That's how it works. You get? So it applies in all fields. The Matthews effect applies in all fields. Someone that has won different awards is more likely to win another award than someone that has not won any awards before. I'm going to repeat that. Someone that has not won any awards, someone that has already won awards, is more likely to win again than someone that has never won before. So your fight at trying to distinguish yourself is to get the first set of people that are reputable to recognize you. If you can do that, by the time you're writing to someone else and applying for something, you already have people that are speaking to your credibility. The more internationally recognized those people are, the higher they will perceive you as a type of candidate that they want to work with. So I had won the Nigerian Higher Education Foundation Scholarship. I had won the Nigerian University of Technology and Management fully funded scholarship. I was best student in contract law. I had a CGPA of 4.3. So there were a lot of different things. So what it does is that it's more like you've had a track record of excellence. So the assumption is that you will likely continue to have a track record of excellence, that if they're investing in you, their return is going to be positive, because other people that invested in you in the past look at the type of things that you did from the investment that they made. This is why trying to write an essay like this calls for reflection. The opportunities you've been given in the past, what did you use it to do? The access that you were given, did you use it to gatekeep and close out other people? or did you spread out your arms to support other people? When you are given an opportunity to do a fully funded scholarship in Ghana or Senegal or wherever else you've done it, what did you do with the opportunities you had? What did you do with the knowledge that you gained? Because remember, Chevening expects you to come back to your home country after you're done studying in the UK to impact your home country. So previous track record of excellence in leadership, it's a strong determining factor for whether you're selected or not. Because if you have not shown a very strong track record of leadership, then they wonder if you're actually giving the scholarship, whether anything will be different, whether you're just going to be one of those people that disappear in the UK or disappear to Canada or disappear to US and they never actually do anything with all the resources and skills that they've gained from the scholarship. So I'm going to make progress because we've already spent a lot of time. I think Mr. Daniel is giving me some sign that we've actually spent like a whole lot of time on this. So here's a quick exercise that I think you can do that you could just get the juices flowing around trying to write your essay. So try to write down some leadership examples that you plan on including in your essay, and then attempt to use bullet points to structure it into the STAR framework. I'm going to take that again. Write down 3 leadership examples that you plan on including in your essay and attempt to use bullet points to structure it into the STAR method. That way, when you do something like this, even if you've not started writing the essay, you already have like a skeleton, like a sketch of how it will eventually look like. You get that way, you're really giving yourself a lot of value so that by the time you start writing, it's very fast because you've already spent a lot of the time trying to put the structures together. When I started writing mine, I used a lot of bullet points before I actually started fleshing it out, right? So feel free to take this exercise. You don't have to do it right now, but it's definitely something I think you should do if you're planning on applying for the Chevening Scholarship. So for the networking essay, I'll run through these ones because leadership essay is always the one that gives people a lot of headache. Yeah. So I also want to use 3 networking examples, just like the leadership essay that had 3 leadership examples. Try to use 3 if you can, but if you want to use 2, ensure that they're very strong examples. So you have to mention the names of the people that you networked with and use the STAR method as well. For example, you can say, that I started trying to support young women that are dealing with poverty period, right? Period poverty. That's what they call it. Sorry. So maybe what I did was that I wrote some NGOs and then someone that I met at the conference and I told him about it. And then he used his network and influence to get us a venue to do like an awareness and sensitization event and campaign. And then he successfully trained over 300 women on how to use their sanitary pads. And we also, distributed over 50 cartons of that during that event through our partnership with Always or Lady Care or whichever brand that you decide to partner with. So that's like the idea. You still use the same STAR method to also describe the networking example, right? So just consider it a leadership essay that is focused on how exactly you met those people that you then leverage your relationship with them to create some positive social change. So remember not to be repetitive. Don't repeat the experiences in your leadership essay. Try as much as possible to vary it, right? But still mention some things from leadership essay. For example, I was trying to build FON, which is also the platform that is doing this in collaboration with PlyVerd, right? So I was trying to build a community as well as a platform where people could access opportunities. So I talked about that, and then I talked about how we're trying to do some webinars to help people to learn how to apply for these opportunities. Yeah. And then what I did was I sort of went and invited some of my friends that were already part of the Nigerian University of Technology and Management Scholars Program. So some of them had just gotten fully funded PhD offers, and one of them got an Erasmus scholarship offer, right? So I invited them to share the experience on the YouTube channel, and that also impacted a lot of people. Like, platform has been watched over 100, like by over 100,000 people over the last 3-4 years. Yeah. So that sort of just gives a sense of the scale of the number of people that were impacted, right? But it also shows that I leverage that environment to network with people that I eventually like leverage our relationship to create a program that supported people. So always remember, the goal is always, how did it lead to impact? Who did it impact? And what is the scale of the impact? That's how to think about it. So refer to your vision. If you say that your vision is to maybe stop poverty in some rural areas that are very underserved and they're really struggling, maybe you want to help them get more income so that they don't like live in abject poverty. So you can talk about maybe some initiatives that you are trying to do. Maybe you wanted to teach them some skills. Maybe you wanted to do some cash distribution. Whatever strategy you decide to explore, the idea is that the vision that you mentioned in the first leadership essay, in the conclusion bit, should also be referred to in the networking essay as well. Very, very important. Then ensure that your narratives are aligned. Don't say something different in a leadership essay and then now start referring to a different path in your networking essay. If you say that what you want to do is, development, you want to work in development segment, you want to support women, or you want to support children so that they're not malnourished. So whichever one you choose, ensure that your message is consistent across all your essays. So you can't say that you're interested in climate, supporting climate sustainability in Africa, and then you're now saying that you want to study, maybe you're not saying that you want to study something like agricultural economics. Well, I think that might even still be related, but you're trying to study something that's completely unrelated. That's just like the point. Maybe you want to study art, visual art. So what is the correlation or the relationship between visual art and climate change resilience, or climate change sustainability? Because there's actually a master's in sustainability. There's a master's in leadership sustainability. There's a master's in development and sustainability in a lot of universities in the UK. So why are you not doing a master's in that? Why are you doing a master's in visual art? Or why are you doing a master's in media communication? So you need to ensure that your narratives are aligned. This is why it's so important to spend time reflecting on why you want Chevening and what you really want to do. Because once you figure it out, writing the essay is easier, I promise you. I'm speaking from experience. So the school justification essay, which is a third one, is the essay where they ask you why you want to study in the UK and for you to explain why you've chosen the courses that you've chosen. So Chevening allows you to choose 3 courses. So you can choose the 3 courses in 3 schools, or you can choose the 3 courses in the same school. There's nowhere on their website that they say you can do that. So you can actually apply for a master's in sustainability, a master's in leadership, and a master's in media communication in the same university. You actually can. And if you get offers from all of them, yeah, they will still accept it. But it's just that it's preferable for you if you actually have different school choices. And the reason for that is because in the event that you don't get admission from one, you might get admission from the second one, or you might get admission from the third one. So Chevening structures it that way to allow you to be able to have options in case something happens, right? So that maybe your top choice school delays in sending the admission letter or they don't even admit you. So that, just because your top choice did not admit you will not be a reason why you should not take on the scholarship. So that's how I think about it, right? So I would personally advise you to have 3 schools, right? So explain your interest in the 3 schools. Go research the schools. Like, what courses do they offer? What's in their curriculum? Is there any opportunity for travel? Because there was opportunity for travel in my master's. We went to the US, but previously, before I came, they used to go to Germany. They used to go to Europe. They used to go to Germany and some other countries in Europe. But during my time, they went to the US, and the people that came after me also went to the US as part of their course. So you need to check if your school, if the department that you're trying to study with or the course offers, an international experience, right? Because that would make your overall studying experience more rich, right? Then you want to give examples of how the course content will support your goals. Assuming you're trying to learn something like value chain, you're doing something in business innovation, you can say that value chain will help you acquire the skills to figure out how to scale operations for different businesses back in Africa. That one of their biggest issues is distribution influenced by inadequate infrastructure for logistics and so on. So you're like that you're planning to learn a lot during that course so that you can also come back and contribute to policy around these infrastructures and how to improve operations in the African market. So just remember to always mention specific things that the course is offering that directly aligns with that your big vision, because that shows that you thought it through, that you didn't just like choose a random school. It shows that you actually really thought about it and you did your research. So mention a fact about studying in the UK that makes the experience superior. If there are facts around the different environments, also mention them. For example, you can say that Oxford is very cool, you know, is an academic community, can meet a lot of people that, you know, you can have very good intellectual conversations that can spark new ideas for how you can solve problems back in your home country. So you can say that, right? Or you can say that you really love Nottingham because lots of other scholars that finished from the Chevening program also went to Nottingham Trent, or they went to University of Nottingham, and they've had really good reports from them. They talked about like how serene the environment is and how it has a bubbling student population. So the idea is just that you actually went the extra mile to find out more about these places, right? Because if you're saying, I want to go to Strathclyde or I want to go to University of Sussex, so the question would now be, why? Why do you want to go to those places? So you don't want someone to be asking those questions and not have an answer. You want someone to look at your essay and say, okay, so why does he want to go to that place? And they have an answer in your essay. And that's the best outcome. Yeah. So you need to mention if a professor, someone that you're following their work that is currently at the particular university that you selected, that just goes a long way to show that you've not only researched the course content, also just researched the course, the part of the UK to figure out whether they're the best at that, but you've also gone to find out about the professors that are leading experts in the field that you're really looking forward to interacting with while you're there in the school. You know, for example, a friend of mine wanted to study maritime in the UK and he went to University of Hull. They have one of the best reputation for maritime law, right? So it didn't matter that Hull was in a remote town and so on. What mattered was that from the rankings, they were the best. I think they still are the best at maritime law, right? So that's how to sort of think about these things when you're trying to make that decision on which school to go for and how to write an essay that convinces people that that you should be given the opportunity to come for the Chevening Scholarship and study in the UK. So the last but not the least, which is a career plan essay, you usually have to introduce an introduction, state something powerful, like maybe by 2050, 20% of the world's working population will be from China, or they will be from Nigeria, or they'll be from Africa. Like a bold statement that ties into your vision. That was the format I used, right? And it works. So the next thing you then do is to state your plan of action. So you stated the bold vision, the bold statement about something that is going on and why it's a cause of concern for everybody. And you've talked about how it aligns your big vision. Your big vision can be anything. You want to solve world hunger, or you want to solve corruption, you want to improve governance systems. It could be anything, right? We're leaders and we're diverse. So diverse, varying ideas. So the next thing to then do is to state your plan of action to justify it. And you do this by including a long-term and a short-term plan. So you could just say in the short term that you plan to do X, Y, Z. You want to mention the names of the potential partners that you want to work with. You don't want to just randomly say, I intend to successfully host trainings for 50,000 youths. How would you do that, right? Which ministry are you interfacing with? Is it the Ministry of Youth and Sport? Is it the Ministry of is it the Ministry of Education? Is it the Ministry of is it the Ministry of Environment? So you need to specify. And if you have any current contact that might make it easier, also mention that you will leverage your existing relationship with that person to fast track the process. It helps because it shows that you have a very solid plan, right? So you first do your short term before you then move down to the long term. Long term has to be a bit more elaborate because you want them to actually believe. And please, saying I want to do a PhD is not a long-term plan. It's not. You want to actually speak to the vision that you have, because you can't say that your vision is to do a PhD. You can't say that, right? So your long-term plan needs to align with that big vision that you've talked about from the beginning. Remember that I said that all the essays, the narratives have to align with each other. That's something very key that you need to do. If not, you sound like a different person. It will sound like a different person wrote your leadership essay, and someone different wrote your networking essay, and someone different also wrote. So that's how you will sound if the narratives are not lining up, right? So you want to also still mention that big vision, and then you talk about how in the long term, maybe 3, maybe 4 to 5 years, or 5 years, 6 years, that these are the number of places that you want to have gone to implement a particular project, for example, or that you want to have successfully implemented an initiative that can support a particular group of people. And then you mention the people that you're going to partner with, the stakeholders you're going to work with to make that big vision a reality. Then lastly, you can say a powerful conclusion that still emphasizes your vision and how the Chevening Scholarship can help you achieve it. Please, please, and please, it is in the career plan essay that you also have to remember to emphasize the alignment of your vision with the UK priority areas. So UK used to have a different priority area, but I think their priority areas have shifted. So just do a quick search on Google, find out the UK priority areas so that you can actually include them as part of the things that you're contemplating as you're making out your big plans. So for example, the UK priority area is skill acquisition, yeah, and you're trying to do a marketing master's. So you can see that you've got a marketing agency that will partner with different government parastatals and agencies to train thousands and thousands of youth, or that you're planning to build something like 3MTT, some sort of large nationwide platform that allows people to volunteer to train people in marketing and branding all over Nigeria. So maybe that's what you're planning to do, right? Maybe that's your big vision, and you can now explain how that big vision ties into a UK priority area of skill acquisition, and how your successful implementation of that project could mean that at least 50,000 to 100,000 Nigerians year on year, are going to get trained and acquire relevant skills to remain resilient with a giving global economy. So that's how to think about it. Yeah, I really hope that listening to me go on and on about how to work on the essays has been very helpful so far. I actually put something together, but I'm going to just explain like a few things that can help with the process. Speaking as someone that's applied to over 30 different scholarships and gotten rejections like maybe 25, 26 times, I think that you just get to a point where you're no longer just applying blindly. You want to actually be strategic. You want to only apply in the places that you're the best candidate based on your alignment with the scholarship's objectives, right? So clarity comes from action. For those of us wondering, how am I going to start? I don't have any leadership experience. I don't have this. I don't have that. Instead of overthinking it, why not start doing something? Why not just start doing something? It could be writing a newsletter. It could be hosting a community where you speak to people every day, check up on them, find out how they are doing, ask them about their business. It could be something like that, really. It really could be, but it's still very impactful because so many people don't have anybody checking up on them. So many people don't. So don't overthink, taking action. Just start taking action. Things that you need to avoid, when you're applying for scholarships, especially scholarships like Chevening, avoid feeling like an imposter. Don't say, oh, Osita is a lawyer, Osita had a 4.3, Osita did this, Osita did that. I don't have any of that, so I can't apply. No, please, no. I have a lot of people that did not have any of those things, but they still got in. They have different things, and that's the beauty of it. Everybody has different things that they've done. So your own job is to tell your own original story. Don't try to be like Osita, be like yourself. Stop feeling like you're not good enough. Stop feeling overwhelmed. Just start taking action, reflect, write down some things. Just start small, bullet point, right? Based off of that, then you can now start fleshing out the bigger AC as you go. So things that you should do that will really help: start early, reflect. I mentioned that 3 times because it needs to be emphasized. You need to understand that a lot of the things that you're going to do in the process of doing this essay, you've probably never done it before. You've probably never sat down to think for like hours, like, what did I even do when I was in university? Since I started working, what have I even done? How many people have I impacted? Maybe you've not been taking notes, but this is actually a period that you should actually start tracking. Start tracking everything so that you can get a real sense of just how much progress you've made so far. Join a community of like-minded people. You want people around you that maybe not necessarily just applying, but people that are thinking about their lives, people that are trying to level up, people trying to write GRE and other exams, people that are constantly trying to improve themselves, people that are serious about their personal development, right? So I think that this is something important, and I think that it's cogent. When you do this, it makes a real difference in how your overall outcomes play out. Then last but not the least, use the FOM guide. So we've actually put together like an ebook containing all my own essays that you can have access to. They can use as a guide for your own essays. As you saw from the beginning of this presentation, lots of the essays were sort of analyzed, where there's an analysis of why I wrote it that way, a breakdown of the situation, task, action and results. So that for each and every one of the essays, as well as the structure for writing the studying the UK essay, the structure for writing the networking essay, as well as the structure for writing the career plan essay, as with a very, very simplified way that shows you how I wrote each of my paragraphs. So it's actually one of the proudest things I've ever written, because I feel like I did myself trying to sort of teach, explain how to go about it. So feel free to check it out. So the next exercise we're going to do before we wrap up this session, like in the next 3 minutes, please write down 3 reasons you want to study in the UK, right? Just like the first exercise talked about, trying to write down some of your leadership examples that you might want to use in the essay. So this second exercise is about the reasons why you want to study in the UK, because it will help your studying the UK justification essay, right? And then also write out your top schools. So I must emphasize this here. Don't choose Oxford or choose London Business School or choose LSE or choose Imperial College London, blah, blah, blah. Don't choose all that simply because, they are great schools. Choose them because they align with your vision. Choose them because they align with your vision. It's crazy, but all schools don't align with everybody. When I was applying, the only school I saw that had a lot of practical things that they were going to teach in the entrepreneurship course, it was Nottingham Trent University. And that's the one that ended up taking us to the US, where we had to do a consultancy project, do like a presentation to Red Cross and so on. Right. So I chose well. I believe I chose well. I could have applied to any other school, but the way they structured their curriculum, it really resonated with me. Again, don't forget that you're still going to do an interview. So if you chose a school simply because you think it's a top school, you may not be able to defend it in the interview. So choose a school that aligns with you. If you choose a school that aligns with you, it's very easy to defend it in the interview. So let's bear that in mind. So the FOM guide, this is me smiling when I was young like Daniel. Now I'm now older. So you can get the FON Ultimate guide for winning the Chevening Scholarship. So far, since I published it in 23, over 6 people have used it successfully getting to the Chevening Scholarship program, right? And many of them got into the final stage, which is got shortlisted, which means that the guide actually did the work, which is to get you into the interview list in the first place. For the interview, those are going to the interview. There are over 30 of them so far. So that shows you that using this guide is very effective. So you can scan here to get the guide. But this is what the guide includes, just for context, for those of you that are wondering. It includes tips on writing essays applicable to other scholarships because of the way I really analyze each of the paragraphs. So there are lots of tips in there that you can use to also write other scholarships as well. So the 4 Chevening essays that I used to apply successfully, they're all there with their detailed analysis, breakdown, why I did it, as long as tips that you can use to improve your own. So there are Chevening interview questions that have guided 20 scholars successfully between 2021 and 2024, right? And then there is this Chevening Scholarship curated playlist the ones that I listened to on YouTube before I successfully applied. So it's just like I put all of them together, so it's easier. So everyone that gets ebook will automatically also get access to that. Then there's a free one-time essay review from myself. So if you get the ebook and you've written your essay, once you're done, you can send it to me and I'll review and then send back to you so that you can update the essay before you eventually send off. So I guess that's it from my end. Thank you so much, Daniel, for this opportunity. I really enjoyed myself. I hope people that are listening are also enjoying themselves. You're not putting up their comments, so I don't really know what they're saying in the comment section. But yeah, thanks a lot. Daniel, can you hear me? Hi, Daniel. Are you there? Hello?
Sorry about that.
Sorry, Daniel.
I think I froze a bit.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
All right. So thank you, Osita, for the session. I think right now we'll go into a few Q&A. There are some questions that have been listed here that we might need to take a close look at, and then you
Okay.
share your perspective on them. So I will
Okay.
start with the first question we had here. Just a bit. Let's see.
Oh, wow. I'm just seeing all the comments now. I wasn't seeing them before.
Okay. Okay.
There are actually a number of comments. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The first question someone asked is this. That was Ogunfunwa asked, "Can we use Grammarly?" I think she's probably looking at it from the perspective of when you write your essays and trying to do grammar checks on them. So
Mm-hmm.
let's hear your response.
So I would say, yeah, you can definitely use Grammarly, but don't use it too much because Grammarly right now has put so much AI integrations that if you use too much Grammarly, it's almost like you didn't write it yourself. So I would say, if possible, don't use the pro version, use the basic version because it just tells you maybe a comma here or something that is not so significant. But the pro version can essentially rewrite, right? And if the pro version is rewriting, then it's the AI that's actually writing. That's the problem with it. So I would not advise you to use the pro version of Grammarly to write your Chevening essays, but you can definitely use the basic one to correct basic grammatical functions like a comma, a full stop that was missed out, or maybe a colon or something like that. Daniel, does that address the question?
I think that should do it. I don't know if Ogunfunwa is still here with us. If she's still here with us, if you have more questions, you can all go ahead to ask in the comment section. Let's address the next question, please. So Benjamin is asking, please, I would love to know if you have written your essays and just checked on AI tool and it showed it has been 8% and you have written it using your own story. What should I do? Do you have any
Can you
answers to
repeat?
this?
Can you repeat? Okay, if you've written the essay and it shows you that it has up to 28% AI, right? I would
Yes.
say the ideal thing is to have maybe 5% or less, because it's like I keep repeating, it's a competitive scholarship. You really don't want people to feel that you just put it in one AI, that you didn't really put in any real effort in the application process. Because what's likely going to happen is that they might use AI to screen out all the essays that are written by AI, both in part or in whole, just to reduce the number of essays that they have to physically review. So the less of AI you have, the better your odds. So that's what I would say. The less of AI you have, the better your odds.
Okay, I think let me share my perspective too. I think when you are writing your story, like the question says, if I wrote my story and then check with AI and it says 28%, the question should be, why should AI say that your story is 28% written by AI? I'm not sure. Probably there are some words you picked out uh, that wasn't just by you. That could be what could be causing that. So you might have to recheck how you wrote your sentences uh, to to tell your own story better instead of probably something that someone else has written somewhere else. Because reason why it might show AI is that it's something that someone has written somewhere else, or something that you picked out from somebody. That's what I think could be the reason why it will mention AI as your part of how you wrote it. That's my opinion on that. The next question is Jennifer is asking, can someone who has written the essay, okay, I think this is the same, but can someone who has written the essay with their own writing but want to tweak it using ChatGPT, is that a sign of disqualification? Okay. Okay.
So I can please, everything I've said in the session so far is my opinion. They do not reflect the opinion of Chevening. I'm only speaking about my own experience and what I've observed over time. So just to be clear on that, it's like a disclaimer. But what I would say is that if you try to tweak your writing with ChatGPT, you're essentially also using the AI to write or adjust the essay. So when it comes up and they put it on another platform to confirm whether it's AI written, you will see that a percentage of what is in your essay would overall still be AI written. So that's just it. I don't think you should use ChatGPT to modify your essay. I did not use, I mean, ChatGPT was not even launched then. That was in 2021 that I wrote my essays, right? And I mean, people have been writing essays long before ChatGPT. So I would strongly advise you not to use ChatGPT to write or modify your essay. Write it yourself. If you need to do basic grammar checks, you can do basic grammar checks, but write it yourself. Instead of using ChatGPT to modify, give a friend that has written an essay before to look at it for you, or better still, get the FON guide, and then when you're done writing, you can send to me to look at it. So that's what I would suggest. I don't think it's a good idea to use ChatGPT because in the event that they decide that any essay that has AI that they will disqualify them, you're automatically disqualified. So Daniel, thank you.
All right. The next question is Ruth is asking, can someone with a master's degree still apply for master's program with Chevening?
Yes, someone with a master's degree can still apply very much. That is very correct. There are people that had masters in something else that applied for a master's in something different, and they use the Chevening scholarship to fund it. So yeah, it's very possible. It's very possible. Remember, Chevening does not check your age. Even people that are teachers in their 50s, they've gotten the Chevening scholarship to travel, to learn a new course, equip themselves so they can do more impact in their countries, right? So think about it that way. It doesn't matter if you've had a master's, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you've got a new master's that you want to study that can really make a difference in your home country and is in alignment with the UK priorities. And you've got great leadership track record, and you think you'll be a great candidate for the Chevening scholarship. So yeah, the person can go ahead and apply.
All right. Jennifer is asking again, but what if you actually do not have leadership experience at work or any volunteering work? Can you use a personal experience like being a firstborn in the family or any personal experience? Okay.
Daniel, I did not know that being a firstborn is an experience. Oh. Yeah, that's just we're just having a small laugh.
I think
Um,
now you know.
perhaps I would say that everybody has leadership experience. It may just not be it may just not be what you're thinking it is. Because for example, if you were in church and maybe you were leading a choir or you were leading welfare or something like that, and because of that, you successfully implemented an initiative that still supported the lives of other people. Because his church does not make it any less leadership. So that's what we need to also understand, right? That's what we need to understand. There are a lot of charities that are owned by churches. If you're volunteering for a charity of maybe Winners Chapel or a charity of Dominion City, maybe their foundation, right? Or Love World Foundation. Does that make you less of a leader because it's a church that owns the foundation? So that's how to think about it, right? That's really how to think about it. Leadership may not be what we're thinking. It could also be in other places that we've been carrying out functions all our lives, and we just never knew that that was actually what we're trying to do. As long as you can sit down and reflect and you can write out some things that you did because you saw a problem that you now started actively trying to solve, and that you successfully did something and there was an outcome, it can qualify as a leadership example, as long as there's something like that. Yeah. If there's a personal experience, like maybe somebody struggled with a traumatic experience and they went for therapy and they're now trying to like create content, support other people that are also going through something similar, that is still leadership. Because you're advocating, you're giving a voice to an issue that society is trying to silence. Do you get? Body shaming is a social issue. It's a social issue, right? People that suffer sexual harassment and they're silent, toxic silence culture. Maybe you're speaking up against that. Maybe you're doing podcasts and posting things on YouTube about it. That doesn't make you less of a leader. It all depends on the narrative, right? And the consistency as well. It depends on your narrative and the consistency. But the idea is that there has to be something that is very clear, that you should be able to align with your big vision. Because if you're just saying random things, then it sounds like you're not really sure what you want to do. So that's what I would say to that. But yeah, a personal experience can count, but not firstborn in a family, of course, but maybe a personal experience that you're now using as a strength to support other people in the society.
All right, and also to add to that, I wouldn't say much, but I think there's also something that we have put together that could help someone like you to actually look at other perspectives of your life, because we may not be able to give all the answers to your questions here, but during a one-on-one session, we can be able to actually evaluate your life based on the feedback we get from you, and probably find something that is interesting that you may have but didn't know that it's actually impactful, or didn't know how to present it in a way that is impactful, because it's all about being able to tell your story in a way that shows that what you have experienced, both leadership and otherwise, has a way it has helped other people make their life better, and how you can scale that experience. So I will share that later after this Q&A session. The next question is, okay, I think this person has asked similar question before. Osta, do you have an answer to this? What if my field of study is not related to the UK priority in Nigeria?
So, if it's not related to the UK priority, I don't think you should bother applying for the Chevening Scholarship, because the UK's Chevening Scholarship is part of their foreign policy. It's part of their foreign policy. So, they will give scholarships that align with their priority. In fact, the fact that they created themes, they didn't used to have themes. So, they created themes. That shows you that they are trying to ensure that people that are not aligned are not given that opportunity. So that's part of their own foreign policy agenda, right? Because remember, the people that administer the scholarship is the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. That shows you that the scholarship is part of their foreign policy. So what I would advise is that even if you're not sure if your field of study is related to their priority area, try to find a way to tie it in the AC. If it's not directly, maybe it could be indirectly related. I'm just saying you could find creative ways to do that, and then you can give yourself a shot. What's the worst thing that can happen, right?
Um, the answer to this question is yes. There's no point dragging it. Hope I'm right, Osita.
Yeah, you're very correct. Yes, it covers it, going and coming back, even going and coming
Exactly.
back.
Um, Fabian is asking, considering how competitive this scholarship is, would you advise taking the next year to prepare for one's portfolio? The answer to this, it depends on where you stand. That's my perspective. Osita can answer or give more context to this.
I think that to be fair, I'll be very honest. I spent a year also preparing. I applied in 2020 and I was rejected, but I started writing my essays almost immediately after I was rejected. So I had a lot of time before I eventually submitted in November of 21. So what I would say is there is no there's no right time, because even if you spend a year, if you are not really doing anything, you will still be in the same position you were before you decided to spend a year. There's no right or wrong time. There's only now. So I would say go ahead and apply. If it doesn't work out, at least now you have feedback on what you can try and improve, right? That way you have a better a better application coming in next year. But if you wait and not apply, what will happen is that you may not really be able to have done so much, because life is also going on. You have other priorities, you have work. If you have a family, you've got kids, you've got a husband, you've got church, you've got work. So before you know it, it's another application cycle and nothing has really changed. But by putting an application forward and risking that rejection, so you put your skin in the game, right? Such that if it doesn't work, that pain is a motivation to ensure that the next application that you're putting in is way better than the last one, so that you don't repeat that pain that you felt when you were rejected. So my advice is apply, right? Don't wait for a year to prepare. Apply, right? And of course, try and use the FON guide to improve your chances and actually write an essay that makes a lot of sense. If you don't have experience writing scholarship essays, that is. But I would advise you to apply. Don't wait for a year before you apply.
Ogunfonwa, the link to the guide will be shared in the group. You'll get it in the group shortly. Jennifer, the answer to this question, well, let Osta answer this. Is it compulsory to come back to Nigeria after when you're done with your study? For those who want to japa,
So here's what I'm going to say about that. I would say that it is compulsory by the scholarship bond that you sign, because they give you a bunch of documents to sign actually saying that you're going to return back to your home country. But do people actually return? I can neither confirm nor
no,
deny.
then
But I'm not aware that they travel to different places in the UK looking for Chevening scholars to drag them back to Nigeria. But one thing that I'm sure of is that you can't have like a post-study visa if you went with a Chevening scholarship, because post-study visa requires your sponsor to send a document before they issue you the number. So even if your school gives you the CAS number that you can use to apply for your stay back, right? Um, Even if the school issues your CAS number that you can use to apply for your stay back, you cannot get the document you need from your sponsor, which is the Home Office. That's the UK government. You can't get it from them because you're a Chevening scholar, so they expect you to go back. Which means that if you decide to stay back in the UK, you're not going to be staying back with a post-study visa. right? Maybe you applied for global talent and it worked out for you, or maybe you married a British person. I don't know. Or maybe you started a PhD. I really don't know, right? But I know that that is what you sign when you get the scholarship. So yes, in that sense, it is compulsory to come back to your home country. But I know a lot of people that they go, they come back, they take the flight and come back to Nigeria, they take the next flight to go back, or they take another flight to go to Canada, or they take another flight to go to US. So people do different things. But the Chevening stance, based on the bonds that you sign, is that when you're done with your studies, you come back to Nigeria. So I came back. I already had my law firm, I had a business and all that. So I came back. I understand why some people don't want to come back, because I mean, it's not like there's a job waiting for you back in Nigeria. But I had my law firm, I had my business. So I just came back and continued my law firm. And now I'm preparing to go for my PhD, right? So it all depends on the individual. Daniel, does that address the question?
Yes, it does. Okay, so before we continue with the Q&A, let me also mention this. We have prepared a done with you process that is designed to help um, applicants go through the entire process. This done for you, done with you rather, please, not done for you. We don't do done for you, we do done with you, which means we're going to work with you step by step from the beginning, both your school application, both your scholarship application reviews. We're going to work with you step by step to improve your chances of success. Also involves some coaching where we look at what you've done and coach you on how to structure your application the right way. If the do it yourself process, you think that it will not be very easy for you to handle it. The do it yourself is when you buy the phone guide and you do the whole process by yourself. But if you want a hands-on support where our team will guide you and support you both in choosing the right school, choosing the right program, crafting your applications, reviewing them, coaching you through the entire process, even standing with you to till you are able to get all the process and arrive in the UK. We have a done with you process. I'll also share the link in the group and also in the chat here. You can sign up for this process. This process is a done with you for those who have who are willing to invest into the process and be able to get better results. Yes, we have a done with you process as well. The link will be made available in the chat and in the group also shortly. So let's proceed to the next question. Um, so Osita, someone is asking this. I don't know how um, you want to answer this question.
Sorry, I thought we just addressed the question of whether it's compulsory to come back to Nigeria.
No, no,
I thought we
that's not the
just.
question. Let me share the question now. Sorry. Someone is
Oh
asking,
no,
is
no,
MSc
no,
masters
no,
a master?
no. Chevening only funds 1 year masters. Please, let's be guided. Just 1 year. So you need to choose a master's that is 1 year. Chevening doesn't fund a 2 years master's. And because they require you to come back to your home country after your studies, trying to study a 2 years course is not going to be practicable. So that's why they standardized it. They only fund 1 year masters. They only fund 1 year masters.
Okay, I
Daniel, is
think
that
this,
okay?
yes, it is. I think this might be the last question. I think we've addressed almost every question here. This might be the last question you might need to respond to.
Okay. Can you elaborate more? Okay, someone is asking, must referees be directly involved with their customer? I think what I'll do is send me the link to the YouTube so that I can use FON's account to log in and reply to those comments. I'll just make time. I'll reply to every single one of their comments because I don't think we can take it all in the live. Yeah.
Yes, and
Mm.
we've spent already
We spent
1 hour 45 minutes
yeah,
already.
yeah. So let me just take this last question, then we
And
can close the and what?
no, please go ahead.
Okay. So can you elaborate more on the networking aspect of the AC? And I also want to ask about the references. Can we use any other references outside? Yes, please. You can use references aside academic reference if you are working and then you have a supervisor that can speak to your your competence. But always try to include at least one academic reference. So when you say elaborate more, when you say elaborate more on the networking issue, so I'm going to put it this way. I strongly suggest that Jennifer has asked like 3 questions. Jennifer, I strongly suggest you get this ebook so that when you've reviewed your essay, I can have a look because you seem very eager to start your application. So for the networking, you want to be sure that the people that you are working with, that you mention their names and you mention what you did with them. What I said was that you should use the STAR framework in trying to figure out like how to show them that you're someone that is influential. Like that's the goal of their entire essay, to show that you're an influential leader, right? So in the first essay, you're showing that you are a leader that gets things done. Then in networking, you're showing that you're an influential leader. Then in the study in the UK essay, you're showing that you're the right fit for the UK culture and that you've researched the schools you want to go to and that your reason for going to those schools are cogent and compelling. So then the last one is now you saying that you have a very clear plan of what you want to do after you're done with the masters when you come back to your home country. So this is also important for those of us that want to japa, because if you're not thinking of coming back to your home country, you will struggle to write the career plan essay because you need to actually say what you plan to do when you come back to Nigeria, right? So, but for the networking, one, mention the names of the people that you networked with. Mention the situation, the task that you had at hand, the action you took in collaboration with that person and what it resulted in. Be sure to include how you met them and how you maintain the relationship. That's what actually shows that you are influential and that you're good at building and maintaining relationships. So remember to give at least 3 examples. If you decide to give two, ensure that those two are very strong, right? Some people start the essay by saying what networking means to them or defining networking. It depends on you. But the important thing is that it should flow and what you're writing should be competitive. Think about from the perspective of reading 10,000 other essays. This essay now that I've written, is it going to stand out? Is someone going to read it and feel like I am exceptional? So that's what I would advise, right? Don't give examples of your friends, people you've been friends with in secondary school. No, please. Give examples of people you just met. Maybe you met at a conference, maybe you met at an event, a tech summit, something like that. And then you maintain communication, you kept exchanging emails, and before you know it, you're collaborating, you're doing something together with them, right? Daniel, I think it was this year that we met, is it not? And we're already hosting this thing together. If I was applying for Chevening, I can talk about my relationship with Daniel and how we created something like this that supported people, right? So that's just how it is. Are we together? So yeah, I hope that helps. Daniel, you said this is the last question now.
Yes, this will be the last question because more questions are still coming
Okay.
in. But I think if you
I'll
have
reply.
further,
I'll reply the comment. Just send me the link. I'll reply the comment. I will.
okay, and if you need support, please we'll drop our emails as well in the comment section where you can send us an email and we'll discuss further on that. So thank you so much, Osita, for taking out your time to be with us today. I believe that we have learned one or two things that will help your application. Everything that he has shared there has it's more like a first-hand experience of what he got during his own Chevening, both application and during the school, which means that it is not just something that you find on YouTube. This is a personal experience, what he did, how he did it, and how he was able to become uh, a Chevening scholar. And today he's back in Nigeria and running a big law firm that is that has done over how many million, please? I think I forgot that. Over 20 million VC funding
Yeah, yeah,
for.
supporting founders. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh jeez, sorry, my light just went off.
That's
All
totally
right,
fine.
all right. So we've done amazing work here. You have all the tools you need. You have the phone guide. You have the done with you offer. You have the YouTube as well to pick the nuggets that has been shared to help you ace your scholarship application. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Osita, for joining us. And do have a lovely evening or morning or night. I don't know where you are, whatever where you are.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. So guys, I would log in so I can reply to your comments. Yeah. Have an amazing evening, everyone. Or morning, whichever part of the world you're currently in. Bye guys.
Bye.